Hey kids, welcome back to Hard Knocks Games YouTube channel. I'm here with Allison today. Recently I heard about a thing called a dry brush palette. I guess I've been under a rock. I didn't know this was a thing until recently. What I've heard is some of the more professional painters out there are using like either constructed palettes or something that they have bought to assist in their dry brushing, with the idea being traditionally dry brush, you would dip paint on your brush, use a paper towel, wipe most of the paint off, and then go to your model and do your dry brushing to get your edge highlights or effects. So the theory currently is that using said paper towel to get the paint off of your brush wicks most of the moisture out of the paint as well, so you're actually like less efficient, or you're getting more powdery look as opposed to like a more painted effect. But we're going to try it out. So I downloaded an STL off of Thingiverse for a dry palette, for a dry brush palette. So we printed a couple of these in the shop. It's obviously got some different textures on it. We've got like a little wreck truck, some planking, some rubble piles, just something so that you can see the effect of your dry brush before you go to a model with it. So the problem is like you're going to spend a lot of your palette like getting this paint off your brush.
How many times can you reuse a palette like this?
That's what I don't know. I don't know if you're supposed to just like respray over it or something with like a base color, because I'm using it. No, I like how that looks. You could go to your model and do your dry brushing and, you know, get a nice edge there and get a little light highlight. So that it looks really nice. All right.
I feel like 3D printed anything takes really well to dry brushing.
Oh, absolutely. So you got kind of like wherever and however you want to do your texture on this. I don't know if there's like specific ways you're supposed to do it. But yeah, so I could see that. I could see that. You're like, oh, well, I got most of my paint off. I'll go to my model. Let's try it the old school way. Conventionally, I would take this paint, go over here, do that number, and then...
I feel like you had less paint the second time around.
Yep.
I'm always too heavy-handed with my dry brushing.
Yeah, I think that's the idea, is because you can really easily get too much on your brush doing the paper towel. So I think this like pretty much guarantees you're not gonna just like totally paint your model with a big blob. Visually, this is definitely lighter in the stroke composition, like the coverage. But as far as like paint wise, I can't really tell a difference. I mean, I think it's a neat tool to have in your palette, to have in your toolbox. I mean, dry brush, I mean, it looks cool. So, but I definitely think it'd give you an idea of how the paint was going to lay on your surface. Like shit, if you're trying to dry brush red or like highlight your red with a dry brush, you could, in theory, spray paint this or paint this the red that is your base, and then do your dry brush on there to see how it lays before you used it on the model. So I mean, it's a neat tool.
It seems like a good way to do color tests. So
color test palette, something for edging, for edge highlights, or wet blending on a model. Like, there's a multitude of reasons you would want to have like a multi-textured surface like this to try things on. So
is there a safe way to get like multiple layers of paint off of 3D printed PLA? Or
honestly, I've never tried it. It is PLA. I imagine you could use simple green to strip it like you do with a plastic model, and it would probably work the same. I don't know how that would affect the filament over time, though. Somebody else out there might know. But you could probably strip this, or just if you have a 3D printer, just print yourself another one. If you don't have a 3D printer, we're gonna throw these on our website and you can buy them from us. They're $8. So I don't think this is like revolutionary changing dry brushing. I mean, but I'm old and stuck in my ways, and I've been doing this the same way since the early 90s. So I've got one now. I will keep it in my paint table, and I will use it for sure.
We need to see how much paint buildup we can do on it before it doesn't work, and then see if we
that would be my question, is like how many uses can you get out of this, and does respraying it too many times, how much does that degrade the performance of the textured surface? Because obviously paint builds up and you lose detail on a model, so you're going to lose detail on this too. So are they strippable? Are these just disposable? Because I kind of view it as a disposable thing, but then again, I have a room full of 3D printers, and if I want another one, I just go print one. So I know there's a lot of commercially available ones out there, but it's just going to depend. Your mileage may vary. We're going to sell them if you want one, if you want to try one. I don't think it's a be-all, end-all. I do think it is useful. I don't think it's anything revolutionary.
I have not had good luck dry brushing, so I want to try it just
could
to see if it
very
makes
much
me
be
a
helpful.
less
Like
shitty painter.
I said, you're a newer painter. I'm an old fart who's like been doing this a while. So like I said, these are probably very useful to a newer painter. That is a good point. I don't think you have to have one, but I definitely think they're a neat tool. Just like every other tool in your toolbox. It's nice to have.
You're a neat tool.
Oh, I am a tool. I'm a giant f***ing tool. Bye.